Well, welcome, Dr. David Newman. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm super excited about this company, everybody. PopDoc, and we've got the founder, orthopedic surgeon David Newman. David, take us to the beginning of why you started this company. I'm so excited because me, as a wrestling coach and in my 50s, let's just say from time to time, I get those kind of pains that I didn't have when I was in my 20s wrestling teenagers. So right now that happens, and I definitely want to stay on the pickleball courts, on the golf course, and all that. And remarkably, what you're able to do with video instruction, it's amazing how you're helping people. And I just love this project. So without me stealing any of your thunder, Dr. Newman, take it away and tell us how this all got started. When tell us a little bit about your background.
Yeah, I appreciate you, Izzy. Thank you. It's great to be here, and I certainly want to jump way back to the why. Why did I get involved in medicine? Why orthopedics? And then why the transition? So it's been a nice long journey. It's been very fulfilling. I thank my parents for giving me the opportunities to like make it all happen. I was allowed to explore and fall as a young kid, and I know how to bounce back and get back up. I think that's really important because when you fall, if you don't fall the right way, you can really damage yourself. So I was able to explore. My dad is a civil engineer, really good with his hands. I did a lot of gardening with him. I built a lot of things, outdoors with him as a kid, and I think I got my hands to be very functional when it comes to like helping things, putting things together and that kind of thing. So, and they've been very supportive my whole life. I was able to go to medical school, which was great. I watched my friend break their femur or their thigh bone when I was like 13 on the ski slopes, and I like followed them. I went to in the ambulance. I went to the hospital. I watched them like do the surgery. It was kind of very cool experience. And to me, it was like mechanics or construction of the human body. Got me quite intrigued with that. I'm also, fairly social. I like to help people, always have, and so I thank my mom for that. She's pretty social in the world. So with the social aspect and the helping people, it was kind of like an easy transition into medicine. I love working with my
Yeah.
hands. The tools are great, very innovative in that regard. I've also been an athlete my whole life, so I've hurt myself. And so I tore my ACL playing soccer. I've tore my shoulder up skiing and playing hockey and my thumb. So I've been down that road. Orthopedic surgeons like me because I have this inherent motivation to get better. So I understood post-operatively how important physical therapy was. But then I know that it ended, and so I knew I had to take my some of the onus on myself. And so that was really helpful to me, like getting my motion, getting my strength, maybe changing my lifestyle a little bit. So as this orthopedic surgeon in New York City for 15 years, doing a lot of surgery because inflammation and injuries happen all the time. And we have 206 joints in our body. And when you fall or get hit by a car or have a sporting injury, you're bound to hurt one. Sometimes you need them hurt enough to need surgery. So I was really an advocate for my patients, trying to do the surgery only that is quote unquote needed, because it's like when the inflammatory system overwhelms a joint because the smoothness becomes rough, then our surgery is a great treatment, but it's not necessarily a cure. So with
Mm.
that treatment of surgery, then you got to rely on these rehab specialists and these physical therapists to get you back into your fighting shape or your functional state. Doesn't always happen. Insurance sometimes cuts you off. You have spend time and money getting to and from therapy. You might not have a great therapist. You might not know the right exercises to do. So I work with a physical therapist to create a great database of exercises that we would offer our patients and my patients as a supplement to the physical therapy they were getting to help them get the outcomes they deserved. They deserve to get back to work, deserve to get back to doing the things they love, to deserve to get back to their family. And so I think with surgery plus good rehab and recovery with some education, outcomes can go really sky high,
Love.
and so that's where PopDoc was born out of, right? But as a full-time private practice orthopedic surgeon in the city, I didn't have the time to really devote to getting this into the world. And so fast forwarding a little bit, I did, surgery for about 15 years. My thumb that I had operated on back in 1991 was just slowly breaking down. And as a sports medicine surgeon, we hold these small instruments, these
Mm.
tools, like most of the day, and we squeeze them. We have to like manipulate tissue. It just became a little overwhelming from a pain standpoint on my thumb. It became arthritic. Plus, I have a neurological condition that like doesn't let me put the screws exactly where I want to. It's a small familial tremor. So as much
Mhm.
as my dad gave me my love for helping people in my hands, he also gave me a little tremor. My mom too. I won't just blame my dad. So, it is what it is, but it kind of I felt I wasn't giving my most to the patients in the operating room, so I kind of took a step back out of the OR.
Yeah.
So now I work for an orthopedic surgeon and it's still very fulfilling, but I really, my heart is really within the pop doc world where I have an exercise scientist, a physical therapist, and myself creating these exercise therapy, these corrective exercise therapy programs to help optimize people so they can restore their I like to say their fascial integrity, where
Mhm.
the way that their fascia system is coordinated to allow them to do things like play golf until they're 90 or get onto the pickleball court and not have to think about their knee every shot they're taking. So that's
Yeah.
kind of where we are these days with PopDoc. So we are focused on the aging community, getting them filling a gap, which means therapy and surgery is over more than 6 or 9 months, and they can't really work out because they have this chronic low-grade knee pain. So
Yeah.
we help them through gamification, through foundational exercises, and then we kind of progressively get more demanding on them once they successfully get through the program.
So walk us through that because it's remarkable how you're able to get the results that you have, and you have some excellent testimonials on that. But let's speak to the investor audience that maybe has a background like mine: football, wrestling, lacrosse, all these high impact sports. Soccer is classic for tearing things, ACLs and things of that nature. Gosh, hockey all the time. Those investors that are going, yep, that's me right now. How can you help them, David? What does that look like? Because in my brain, I think when I first met you, my knee jerk reaction was like, well, they're a physical therapist. I mean, I call them physical terrorists because they're terrible and it hurts. But so how is it that goes above and beyond that? And so the investor mind can say, gosh, there's a huge demand for it. Because that's when I had my aha moment when I was like, oh my gosh, this is
Yeah.
amazing what PopDoc is doing in synergy with all those healthcare professionals and the accoutrements that you're able to make to that. So bring us to that and how you can help those folks.
Yeah, I really, whenever I speak to anybody socially, and it comes out that I'm an orthopedic surgeon, without a doubt, there's before the night's over, I get a question about, oh, I'm going to tell you about my ankle, my knee, my shoulder, because there are a lot of joints and people are generally active. Accidents do happen,
Yeah,
age happens,
yeah,
maybe a suboptimal lifestyle happens, but no doubt someone's had some knee pain and low back pain or both in their life by the age of 45. Pretty much everyone. Whether it's just very transient, goes away right away, or there's something like surgery or one or two, or just progressively, chronicity, meaning it lasts for more than 3 or 4 months, and you're like, is this ever going away?
yeah.
So that's kind of where we like to meet people and say, okay, so maybe is it lack of education? Is it lack of just the knowledge of what exercises to do? Going to PT, as you said, it takes time, it takes money, it takes time away from your life to go to and from therapy. And in the digital age that we're living in, the software that we've created goes right to your phone, desktop, laptop, tablet to really meet you where you are, let you do your exercises at home, at work, when you got 20 minutes to just chilling out after, doing something. So we want to be there as an asset to the end user. We sell to businesses, which means it's the businesses that care for populations, whether it's their employees, whether it's their members, whether it's their patients, whether it's their residents in like an independent living facility. We want to be there as a population health management tool really in the musculoskeletal space, but I like to take it one step further and we incorporate the neurological component. So
Mm,
neurological means your brains and the nerves are those wires that run from your brain to the tips of your toes, to all your organs, to all your joints, and to the tips of your hands too. So
sure.
the neurological system meets the musculoskeletal. And the musculoskeletal is muscles, bones, and joints. So it meets that system at the fascia. The fascia
Mhm.
is this meshwork that surrounds all your bones, muscles, joints, organs, skin, hair. The the fascia is just that like netting
Yep.
meshwork that helps with communication. They're like fluid-filled small channels that need to be flowing nicely. So if you
Hmm.
ever get a bruise or a surgery or just have like an old scar, that means that fascia system between your skin and the deep muscle, it's not smooth and pliable. It's more stuck in scar tissue. So I'm sure that people who go to the gym and they've had injuries, they get this fascial roller where they roll out your fascia with a machine or with a tool. And that's kind of okay. But fascia in reintegrating your fascia system is kind of like being able to dunk a basketball again, being
Yeah.
able to throw a football quickly and with accuracy, being able to kick a soccer ball quickly and with accuracy. That's not just one joint doing that job. That's a whole fascia system. That's a whole coordinated system. So having that coordination lets kangaroos jump really fast and run really fast. Let cheetahs run quite quickly. They don't think about their fascia. They just have such a great system that's already set up. And I
Right.
think us humans, we become imperfect and we become our fascia becomes disintegrated and uncoordinated over time. Whether we're sitting too long, whether we've had accidents in the past, even if it's like a toe sprain. Some professional football players have to sit out because one big toe is injured. That's
Wow.
like the end of your fascia system. So it's
Yeah.
all so connected.
True.
So our goal at PopDoc is to help reconnect the fascia system, train it in a way that's safe and effective to get you, as you age gracefully, back to the golf course, back to the pickleball court, back gardening if you like gardening, maybe hanging out with your grandkids, things like that that bring you joy. That's what we're about.
So let's jump into what that looks like. And folks, if you want to start pulling that up, David, on your side, what this would look like to utilize that. But folks, if you're seeing that link pop up, that's where you've finally said, I've seen enough. I want to learn more about this. Click on that link and we can get you details, potentially personally introduce you to Dr. David Newman and this phenomenal platform, PopDoc, and how I believe when I started really delving into this, how this could sweep the nation for that aging population that wants to stay active. I mean, what I'm starting to see is that the older generation is, in my opinion, just getting more educated, getting healthier, wanting to stay out there. I mean, pickleball is just on the rise, where even these restaurants that have pickleball available are starting to pop up in different places. So the propensity for injury is just exists because of all the activity. But maybe, and of course, we're not making any guarantees, maybe you can help people in such a way that they can prevent those injuries and even come back from them. And then the old football, wrestling, and lacrosse injuries, if you will. So take it away, Dr. Newman, and show us a little bit of how this would work. If I would maybe have a subscription that I would access PopDoc and start to look at videos, is that how it would work?
Yes, as part of a business, meaning the business would purchase the subscription to allow their members, their residents, their guests, and let's say employees and their families for these self-insured companies to have access to the exercise platform. And we have focused on the chronic knee pain crew in the 50 and older crowd to allow them to get back their love of golf, pickleball, gardening, whatever it might be, but they can't really do it because their knee is just a little creaky, a little achy, a little stiff, a little painful, a little weak. And pickleball is it's a good sport to talk about. It's really, I think, one of the most populous,
It is.
growing in popularity over time, but it's also increased the orthopedic injury space by some crazy number. So as you know, in the world we live in, it's all about data collection. So a lot of studies come out about pickleball injuries and golf injuries and just the aging population and the number of surgeries that are going on in the country and world when it comes to joint replacement surgery or just arthroscopy, which is the small incision camera in the joint type of surgery to restore the anatomy, smooth out the rough stuff, get rid of the irritants inside your joints. Those numbers are just going up, up, and up because Americans are getting older and they have some lingering pains. Traumas still happen. They're trying to stay active, but they don't know the best thing to do, or maybe they're not ready to stay active. And so there's a really a big problem.
Yeah.
So we made popdoc.com this version that is like currently active as really a point of concern supplement to physical therapy, or you can get there and pull down the exercises to help you restore and regain motion, strength, flexibility, and or firmness of the muscles, which I like to call tone, but it's really like, let's say, fascia uh, firmness.
So this could really be an adjunct to if maybe you have a orthopedic surgery practice, people going through physical therapy, and even before that has even happened, it can be, hey, why don't you take a look at some of these videos? Let's see if that will help your knee before we start thinking about looking at surgeries and things like that. Is that how you envision that happening, Dr. Newman?
Yep, that's already happening in some neck of the woods. They call it prehab or prehabilitation, meaning meaning before
Yep.
surgery. You
Yep.
do something to help you bounce out of the OR instead of crawl out of the OR, essentially. You're already, you got good motion. Doesn't mean you have strength, doesn't mean you don't have pain or arthritis still, but you got the motion, let's say, to be so your muscles can get as long as they're supposed to give you, the individual, full range of motion before the surgery. That helps you get less stiff after the surgery. So prehab is a it's a trend, and insurance sometimes will pay for it, sometimes they won't. Once again, PopDoc, we're falling outside the realm of traditional insurance, but we
Yeah.
are working with businesses to cover their members, residents, employees. So
Love it.
and so I think so the DOC in Pop Doc is direct your own care. That means you don't really need too many outside forces to let you get on and do your exercise. There's really no equipment other than the rubber bands, the elastic bands to give you some resistance because that helps build strength. It stimulates muscle coordination. So those
Yeah.
are good tools. So other than having like sneakers, some space in your home that's non-slip, two chairs, you don't really need much more than that in order to do the Pop Doc Exercise Again program. But if for instance, and then also the way that the media that we create this media that is like it's either can be printed in PDF, the text is in Spanish or English. It's either a GIF animation or a short video of a model doing the exercise, or a slightly longer one, which is no more than 3 minutes of an explanatory video of like what to look out for, the proper technique, and how important it is to maintain good technique. So
Yeah.
those are the next iteration of PopDoc, which is why uh, I look for some additional capital as well as some strategic partnership to help develop the next iteration, which I think is going to increase the user experience and the user engagement. So in the world of digital therapy, it really that is the unmet need is the compliance for people to get on and do the exercises is still pretty low. And I think we can do a lot better if we have the right
Sure.
nudging, the right notifications. When they get there, it has to look nice. They got to want to do it. And it also intrinsically has to motivate them, meaning they have to feel good after doing it without spending too much time strapping things on, turning on their camera, making sure they're in the right position. To me, it's about focusing on themselves when they're doing the exercises to get a better benefit out of it. So,
Yeah.
for instance, this is the homepage. I'm logged in as an administrator, but if I go to my account up in the upper right and I go to my exercises and I go to an exercise group, let's say maintain ankle flexibility, this is kind of what will pop up on your phone, tablet, laptop, desktop, even TV. There's going to be a short survey at the beginning to get some subjective input from the user about how they're functioning, a short 3 to 5 question survey. It's always customized and customizable by the business. But then they're allowed to get into the exercises. They can certainly look at the exercises in the grouping, and then once they're ready, they can start. So this one jumps in. This is in English, the text. It's GIF animation that you can scroll through using the arrows or putting your cursor over the numbers. This is a uh, even though it's called knee flexibility, it does help with the ankle because the ankle, as you see, is being hyper plantar flexed or just bent down fully. So it's a good way to stretch out your ankle. There's also a button here to listen to it either in Spanish or English. And when they do the exercise, they just hit the button for next exercise. It's a web app right now, which means it's based on a website. It's through a browser. An app, a freestanding app, is certainly part of the program and part of the vision, and that will allow you to swipe or press as a little easier to navigate the whole thing. But this gets to the next exercise, and this one's called seated dorsiflexion. So as you can see, the model is just bringing their toes up to their face as they're seated, and they're doing this up and down. We can customize the text, we can customize the audio. So we make it as easy as possible and versatile for the businesses that use the program. The next exercise is going to be plantar flexion. And so the plantar flexion is the opposite of dorsiflexion. So you're pushing down towards the bottom. And so these new videos can be a whole arc of motion, plantar flexion, dorsiflexion. So you can kind of go through a full dynamic stretch of the joint in this motion.
Hmm.
So there's a lot to do, and there's no hidden like knowledge that the right exercise done the right way in the right order will give people benefit. It's great for to overcome pain, obviously, balance, stiffness, weakness. The right exercises done the right way in the right order can really lead to a huge increase in function in people. So then
So,
we're doing
hey,
inversion.
if I could interrupt, Dr. Newman, jump to a knee exercise where, by
Sure.
your own admission, really you see a lot of knee pain. I know this is even in my mom, which she recently got into a car accident with my dad, the other person being significantly at fault. And she's going to have to now have hip surgery because of that. And the doctor was just saying, I'm recommending hip surgery because you got a problem with your knee and you don't want to have a problem with your hip, and then you're healthy even though you're older. We got to fix this so you can actually have some movement, right? So that sedentary lifestyle that people fall into from injuries, I think it makes matters worse, and you can pull them out of those situations, I believe. Of course, we're not qualifying any guarantees or anything like that. Let me make those qualifying statements. And again, I'll remind you that link that has popped up on there to get more information on this remarkable platform, potentially even for your own practice, because I know we have an audience of investors that are orthopedic surgeons like yourself, own practices, would love to see this in their organization, potentially becoming a strategic partner as well as an investor. Click on that link. We can get you more details on that and even potentially connect you with Dr. David Newman, the founder of PopDoc. But take it away. Show us one of these
Yeah,
knee,
sure. So
Dr. Newman.
my team and I, as far as the science team goes, we're very unique as far as who we are and where we come from and what we're bringing to the world at PopDoc. And so we put together at least 800 exercises, and then we've actually pre-packaged them into like groupings. This is for really the point of concern version one, I like to call PopDoc. And so there's over like 780 different groupings that are already put together. They're all customizable. So if I'm like looking at motion of the knee and regain motion, so it starts foundational, and right, this one has 9 different exercises. We can make them two, we can make them four, we can make them 20. And so in our experience, it's between 6 and 12 exercises is probably the sweet spot for people to actually sit and do them. And so we like to start foundationally, like when it says to regain knee motion, that means somebody is stiff. So most people can do all these exercises if they have their nerves functioning, meaning if they're paralyzed, they obviously can't. But so moving your kneecap around or your patella is really um, simple and effective when it comes to loosening up the sac that holds the knee bones together. You loosen it up by just pushing your kneecap side to side with your hands
Hmm.
or top to bottom with your fingers and hands. So getting your kneecap to wake up kind of breaks up the tissues. It kind of frees up your fascia around your kneecap. Between your skin and your kneecap is the fascia layer. And so when you kind of get that good mobility, you're breaking up any adhesions that might be in there, like internal scabs that might have formed inside your knee. So when you want to regain your knee motion, you got to make sure your kneecap is working nicely so we can flow easily across your thigh, the end of your thigh bone, because if it's stuck in one spot, it'll start wearing out the surface of the bone at the end of your thigh bone.
I
So
remember a painful exercise like this that my trainer would do, David, because I had some, football, wrestling, lacrosse injuries, and she would push down on my knee and ask me to flex where my
yeah,
kneecap would come up. And boy, I hit the ceiling on some of
yeah,
that. Uh,
no doubt.
from what you were saying with the scabbing or any type of scar tissue in there.
Yeah, and that scar tissue can like entrap some of the small nerves, and the nerves are those small wires that like are two-way communicators to your brain, and they let you be coordinated, and they also let you feel pain. So when the nerves that are in the sac that line your knee, if they're like inflamed or they're stuck in scar tissue, or if you squeeze the bones together as you're flexing and you squeeze some of those nerves, you can get some pretty severe pain in there and be like, "Ow, I don't want to do that again." So
Yeah.
by getting your knee ready for exercise, it's just to me a foundational thing of getting back your range of motion. And so this is a stretch, this is a static type of stretch. Version 2 will have a little more dynamic stretching, which is kind of a newer trending, let's say, safer way to stretch, even though I think that if you do controlled stretching statically in the right technique and not with too much vigor, you're going to achieve a very similar result. So this is just a supine knee flexion or bending joint mobilization stretch. And once again, it's in Spanish or English, written or in words. Version 2 will have the model actually doing the actual movement to get into the stretch. And then we'll also have some more explanatory video that's a little bit longer. And so this would obviously be a level 1, meaning a first level foundational stuff, but our program is going to be gamified so we can have people get through level 1, move on to level 2, and kind of be acknowledged and validated each time, and then get a certificate when they finish their level 4, which is going to be a lot more vigorous. Both within the level, it gets a little more demanding, and then between levels, it gets a little bit more demanding. So
Love it.
this is also just an extension mobilization stretch. As simple as it is, it's so important because once your hamstring or the muscles in the back of your leg get nice and long, then they're ready to work in a more optimal state. Same thing with your thigh muscle in the front. Once it gets long enough without pain, without being resisted, then it's ready to work better. So like I like to say, all right, because some people after surgery they come back to the office and oh, I go to therapy. Yeah, I'm going to therapy. What are they doing? Oh, they're giving me a rubber band. I'm like, great to get strong. I'm like, okay, but let me see you move. And they can't even move their hand over their shoulder length. I'm like, guys, you first have to move before you get strong. A strong shoulder that doesn't move is not a very functional shoulder. I think you can agree about with that. So it's
Yeah.
like kind of like going foundational, letting them get to that level where they feel comfortable. So I like to call it safe, effective, and regular exercise is one of the keys to longevity. So safe and effective and regular, meaning you got to do it a lot. And so
Yeah.
this is part of what our program's about. And so
Love
this
it.
is one where, a similar kind of thing. We're using your hands to passively just push down that knee and get it as straight as possible. Because that way you won't limp. People limp when they have like 5 or 7 degrees lack of extensions. Extension is
Um,
0. When you lost a little bit, you're going to be limping. It's going to put extra pressure on your hip and your other knee and your low back. You're bound to fail over 1 year to 5, depending on like how well you can accommodate for that limp. So once the exercises are done, you're done for the day type of thing. And then you can just, you know, there's surveys that pop up after you finish X amount of exercise programs. That's all customizable. What's on the survey, how often they come out. They're supposed to be like little just check-ins so people can subjectively give back some feedback to the system. It's not supposed to take too much time. Our system is set up to give push notifications, email notifications, kind of like if you order anything online and you get like, oh, it's coming, it's here. How did it? These things to keep you engaged, kind of keep you like, out of love and out of just like support for your journey on your joint health. And
Engaged,
so
engaged is a great word because I love that with your credibility, your background, and what I'm thinking about as well with the platform as it continues to deepen and your private labeling for things and making them available to certain practices and how you customize them. There's also the room for advertisements where in your own right, you're quite the authority on nutraceuticals with your own brand and things that you're bringing to the market there with an array of those. That's exciting in its own right. And the potential partnerships that are coming around that, as well as what you're building on the platform. All right, let's jump into some of the thoughts around what you're going to be doing with the capital, and then we'll sunset this conversation. Again, folks, that link that you've been seeing come up, go ahead and click on that so that you can get on our schedule. We can get you some preliminary details on PopDoc and potentially make an introduction to Dr. David Newman, the founder. So, David, you can go ahead and stop sharing that, or I can do it for you. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the capital that you're raising and what you're planning on doing with that?
yeah, thanks for that, Izzy. I appreciate it, and it's been a good discussion. I'm happy to be here, and really want to underscore the value that we are bringing to the market. And as a full-time solo orthopedic surgeon in the city for 15 years. I had a staff of about 18 at one point, and I didn't have time to think about investment and how to like push this thing into the world. And so I've never had to ask for any capital for people because people come in with like an ACL tear. I don't have to like do too much selling because they're like, "Oh, I'm hurting. I can't even walk. I can't. My knee's buckling on me." I'm like, "All right, you need surgery. Let's do that." So to me, having to like ask people for money and to like get a team who can help me kind of like, you know, live my vision. I didn't have to raise capital, and so but I've learned as an entrepreneur over the last 3 to 5 years that you need a great team around you. You need some strategic partnership, and if you have some capital, it goes a lot further. It's a lot easier to get things done because we can make a difference to a lot of people in this country and world if we had some more capital and the right team. So I think my team is as strong as it's ever been. I raised some safe note funds from friends and family, and that's kind of helped me kind of get to where I am now. And it's helped me lay out the vision. So the vision now is really raising $2 million to uh, gain some valuation and have some gunpowder. And I don't like war and gunpowder, but that's the term I use. Get something that we have in the Cashman area so we can use it to develop version two. And that's already been written down in script format. It's already been written down in order. And I already have the videographer and the audio team and the editing. I need the time and I need the capital to help pay for all that. And I also think that, we have to like take advantage of the early let's say acquaintance slash relationships I have with some of these businesses, including the independent living facilities, some of these other boutique fitness facilities, some of these other health and wellness platforms, to really kind of get a sales and marketing team that's already working with these people, already selling into the space and be that extra tool in the toolbox. But I know that our product has to be optimized. So that's where the use of funds is going. We've had it laid out. It's pretty well itemized, so we can like go deep into that. But I know that there's still a great unmet need. And as the savvy investor sees like the Kaya Health and the Hinge Health and the Sword Health and the Vori Health, and there's like a bunch of platforms have been funded to like their values are up in the billions these days, and are we doing the same thing as them? No. Are we also still in the same musculoskeletal space? Yes. Do we think we have a great team and some experience behind our product and know that it has some early adoption? Yes. Um, so we're just really excited to like work and find the right partner from a strategic sense and from a financial sense to really make it to the next level.
Excellent. I love that. And why don't you tell us a little bit about, and obviously we'll qualify the fact that you're not making any guarantees. No one here is. Just want to put that disclaimer out there. However, what do you envision as far as a liquidity event, an exit or anything like that? A couple $1 million goes into the company. Who do you see as, and again, qualifying the fact you're not making any guarantees, but what would be a likely maybe takeover, someone wanting to buy your platform, things of that nature? Because I mean, I have my own perspective on this, and I think it's remarkable what you're doing, that B2B play, helping the orthopedic surgeons, physical therapists, the telehealth industry, and on and on and on. Everybody that's touching these folks, the market is massive. The problem you're solving is very, very real. And
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, the folks that are walking around with that pain are just immediately saying, where do I get this? How do I do it? How much does it cost? And those type of things. And of course, I've said it several times. Click on the link. You can get that information, and we'll potentially get you on a call with Dr. David Newman. But as we sunset this conversation, Dr. Newman, why don't you just share with us what you think the future holds for a company like yours, maybe an acquisition or something like that?
Yeah, I think I appreciate the conversation and you got some good insight, obviously some great experience, Izzy, and I thank you for that. Yeah, so having some capital is really the next step, frankly, and then that's going to help our vision come to life. We want to build value in the company, but at the same time helping more and more people. Population health management from a neuromusculoskeletal standpoint. Get some early adopters, build value in the first 1 to 3 years once we go live, and then get acquired by someone who just loves our platform and already has their feet in the ground and a big foundation to make it happen. So to me, it's either being bought by a larger player or being acquired by a whole separate entity that wants to like take it into another direction. I think that makes a lot of sense. I see the exit strategy in like a 3 to 5 year plan at the most. Once we get the capital and we create our new really the updated website and the new UI UX enhancements.
So there are some things here, and thank you for that. That some points that I love to sort of figure out: is this a good fit for the investor mind? And I have 5 touch points, and I just really believe that you hit them all. And it's really exciting when you think about that, because I think in the world of startups, a lot of investors are hearing so much about AI and SaaS and all these different things, and yet yours is different. And number one, the biggest thing is, does this solve a problem to a sizable audience where there's a significant market there? There's enough meat on the bones. Clearly, that's the case with what you have. Number two, is there defensible IP, potentially patentable? Obviously, this is there as well. The third thing is it disruptive? And I see how this can totally disrupt the way people are accessing that information, especially in that age group. So I love that aspect of it. 4 and 5 are clearly the case with video and the folks that you're surrounded with. Number 4 being the scalability aspect of that. Obviously, with all the clinics that are all over the country and the B2B play with this is very, very scalable. And having the strong team, number 5, you definitely do. I know we didn't go into much of that, but clearly, if this is something of interest where you see there are potentially doors that you can open as an investor, maybe you're in the medical community yourself, you would love to become a strategic alliance or a strategic investing partner. I would love to make that introduction, get you on a call with Dr. David Newman, the founder of PopDoc. I think your platform is remarkable. I think the things that you're doing in the industry, your knowledge, your skill set, your empathy towards that market, which is huge. I absolutely love that, and I'm glad to be a part of this. Very, very proud of that. But thank you so much for joining, Dr. Newman. Again, the founder of PopDoc. Go ahead and click on that link. I could potentially get you on a call. As you would likely know, someone that's in the orthopedic surgery industry is relatively busy. So click on that link. I will do that, make the introductions as appropriate. But again, thank you so much for joining, Dr. Newman. I think you have a remarkable platform that is going to help millions of people across the nation. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this.
I appreciate you, Izzy, and I'm here. I'm here to make a difference, and I do want to succeed on many levels, including increasing the value of PopDoc. And for any investor who's with me, we're going to be a great team. So thank you.
Absolutely. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for joining, and we'll see you on the next one. Thank you, Dr. Newman. We'll talk
All
soon.
right. Take care.